launched Reasons to Stay, which delivers letters that have been written by strangers to people that are on the site, giving them a reason to stay. We're currently almost on 1 million letters that we've sent in 3.5 weeks. Sam died because he didn't think people cared, and for the last 8 years, I've basically been connected with tens of millions of people who deeply care.
What would you say to him?
Shake Ben in the car and go, tell him you love him, tell him you're proud of him, and just try and do what you can. I would give everything up now to go back and just stop what happened to Sam from happening.
And I'm going to call you out, actually. I think what you've done there is what a lot of us do, which is...
I needed this today. Thanks for this.
Hey up and welcome back to Andy's Man Club Brew and Chat podcast. We have been having a right good giggle, and Ben, which we want to do on this podcast because it's serious topics at time. We're going to go deep, we're going to go dark, but actually, last time me and Ben met, we was at Wagamama's, I think, and we had a moment where it was a very serious type of thing, and we both started having the giggles. We've just done this now, and we're just going to get it out of the system, and we're going to dive straight in. So
we have to.
How have you been, mate?
I've been good. I just tell you what, actually, I'll be serious. I will be serious. I've had such a busy, long, tiring week, and today's been just so full on. And actually, it's been really nice to just get back in here and just just laugh, because it is. I mean, you tell that story last time we saw each other. I'd been up since 5 a.m. filming something. You came in to do some filming with us, and I had a camera crew that were very tired, and we just couldn't do it. We just literally couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. I don't get the giggles as an adult. It's so rare, but I just lost it, and you lost it, and we must have been about 15 minutes of just couldn't say anything.
And it's just
and then the worst thing is the guys are like, right, let's reset and let's go again. As soon as it went quiet, you just lose it again. It was awful.
So we have started today in a little bit of a different fashion, just because we re-record because we started and we were talking some serious stuff. We hit eyes and we just went back down that road, which I think is really good. It is really good.
You need that occasionally. I think this is also, it's also a really important thing about mental health, and we'll get into sort of my work and everything that we do, and obviously the work you do. And it's really important that we take space for dark moments and sad moments. But I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough around mental health is the importance of having fun and having a laugh. And actually, yes, it's really important to talk about the bad stuff, but if you don't have time to spend on doing the good stuff and having fun and being out and having a good time, that's what life is. Really, the fun bits in life are so rare that you've got to make the most of them.
100%.
And that's where as well with my work that we'll get into, it's like this is where the cost of living crisis and sort of losing access to sort of fun things in life has a massive impact on people, because to a certain extent we can be resilient to bad things happening if you have those access to fun and good stuff. So I needed this today. Thanks for this.
No, likewise. I think it's heavy doing this, as you know, this type of work.
Really
and
is.
I think sometimes just having a good giggle, which we had, we got out of this system, and it were class.
Yeah.
So in Andy's Man Club, we always start with name and positive reason.
Yeah.
Everyone knows your name now.
Yeah.
Mr. Ben West, dominating the space, as we joke about. And I mean that in the best possible way. I think if anyone doesn't know Ben has been genuine and an inspiration in this field for a long time, and we're going to dive into that in a little bit. And he's been a genuine inspiration for what you're doing. I mean that. And I know we do have fun, but I just want to put that on record. I love everything that you stand for. I love the way that you carry yourself, and I just love the intro that this has gone. Just the laugh we've had. I've given you about 3 teaspoons of coffee in there, so
this is probably the strongest coffee I've ever had in my entire life.
It's a strong brew.
So if I start speaking really, really fast, it's because of your coffee.
We'll edit it and slow it down. We'll go 0.5 on the speed. So I guess we always start on his Man Club, and I want to keep it in that typical fashion of how's your week been? Yeah. Because we can go deeper in a bit, but how's Ben's week been?
Week's been, if I'm really honest, it's been absolutely exhausting. So at the moment, as we record this, I've had some stuff on social media go mega viral. So talking sort of 35 million views in a week. So it's intense level of viral for a project I've been working on, which it's really funny because obviously that's a good thing. it's a really good thing. That's a really good thing to have happened, but it is extremely overwhelming. You know, you're dealing with, yeah, that's not something that a human being should deal with. Like, it's not what, like, my body and my mind should not, that's not what we're sort of set up to be able to deal with. Sort of, I think it was like 45,000 messages in one day at one point. You're like, how, it was just so loud. And so I've been quite tired trying to then process that and then move on to the next stuff, and work's been busy, doing a lot of work around mental health. And also, we were saying earlier, like, we both absolutely love working in this space and working in mental health and supporting other people, but it is tiring, like, especially when it means something to you personally. Talking about these things and like putting a piece of yourself out there, it really it's quite exhausting. So yeah, I'm in a moment now where I'm like, I've probably gone a little bit too far this week. I need to sort of rein it back in, and that almost went wrong. Almost spilled my coffee. And you've got to rein it back in and try and look after yourself again, because I think it's so tempting when things are going well to just literally just stamp on the accelerator and just go. But I am on the brink of being quite tired, so hence the very, very strong coffee.
Very strong coffee. Yeah. The campaign you've started, and I will go into that, but I think before we pick up on that, number 2 at Andy's Man Club is always, give me a positive from your week. 'Cause I know it's been intense, I know it's been powerful, but what's been a positive from your week? And it don't even have to be with your work, it might just be in your personal life.
Positive from my week. It's a really good point. I'm one of my New Year's resolutions was to be better at seeing friends and people I love more, and actually being better at like making those plans, because I think especially when you get busy, you just immediately falls down the list of things. Like, you forget to look at the group chat and you forget to message people and so I've made lots of plans this week to go and see people, which is nice. So that's a positive thing for me, because like I said at the beginning, it's so important that you have fun, and like my whole week is made if I just see like the people I love and spend time with them and just have a good laugh with them. So yeah, that's a good thing. I'm really looking forward to those plans. So that's something that I think this week has definitely been a non-work success. It's like, yes, I've got some plans in that I'm really looking forward to.
And I think I agree with you. It's so important. I think at times when you're mission led, and obviously you've got a job as well, everything's obviously juggling a lot of things at a lot of time, like myself, and it can get taxing, but making sure that you put time in for those that you deeply care about. Because what we often forget about is that we started this for people we deeply cared about, and you end up helping the world. You know, figuratively speaking. But then it's like, you've also got to remember why, aren't you? And that you've still got people that you deeply care about. So I guess for anyone who doesn't know Ben West, tell us all about you. Yeah, so
the best way to start that story is going back to 2017. In September 2017, my younger brother Sam was diagnosed with clinical depression. He was 15 years old at the time. I was 17. I had no idea what that was. I had no idea what mental health was. No one had ever told me about that. I can't imagine anyone would have told Sam about that until he'd been diagnosed. And so that was sort of this weird moment where my mum told me that Sam had depression. I went, how can you be diagnosed as being sad? That doesn't make any sense. Never spoke to him about it. And then in January 2018, Sam took his own life and died at the age of 15. And suddenly I was plunged into this world of pain and loss and quite bad trauma. At 17, you know, I found Sam with my mum, and you know, was involved in the sort of emergency services and the first aid, and that was deeply, deeply traumatic. And I sort of emerged out of all of that, still at school, and realised that a lot of what happened to Sam didn't have to happen, and a lot of the things that went wrong were only small things that went wrong. And I think I suddenly felt like there was a lot of clarity that actually, although it's frustrating that small things could have made a big difference, I sort of was like, well, if it's only small things that could have made a difference for Sam, then actually it's not that difficult to just, you know, change those things so it doesn't happen again. And so I started talking about my story and talking about Sam and talking about the things that I thought need to change in the world. So access to healthcare, access to education, and things like that. And it's just sort of, that's all I've done really since. I've just tried to do my best to stop what happened to Sam from happening to anyone else ever again. It's 8 years this year since that happened. This is what I've been doing now for all of those 8 years. And I just love it. And you know, it's hugely meaningful that I've put this real vulnerability of mine into the world, and I've gone, this awful thing's happened to me. It really, really is an awful part of what happened to my family and me. I think things should change. And ever since the first moment I stood up in school and I started talking about mental health, I have just been shocked at every opportunity by the level of support that I've had for my work. And it's just hugely meaningful to know that, it was hugely meaningful and also slightly bittersweet that Sam died because he didn't think people cared.
Yep.
And for the last 8 years, I've basically been connected with tens of millions of people who deeply care. And that's what I find quite meaningful now in my work, is that people really do care about this. And actually we can make a big difference. Like we do need to collectively put more pressure on governments to do things differently and actually invest in suicide prevention strategies and get better healthcare that actually works and is accessible for people. Get better education in schools. Like all these things need to happen, but we are not short of numbers. There are a lot of people that are ready to get behind those sorts of campaigns and those sorts of work. So we just need to sort of mobilise now and get a good message and go for it, because we're in the right moment politically that we can push through some really well-needed changes to how the NHS works, to how education works, to stop what happened to Sam and what happens to so many people, Andy and all the other people that are affected by this, to stop that happening again, because we absolutely can make a difference that might not save everyone's life,
Yep.
but can give the best opportunity to get better for as many people as possible.
100%. And do you know what? I'd love to talk a little bit more about Sam, if that's all right. I think I'm really big on this concept. I've got kids, right? So there's a great movie called Coco. You've seen it?
Yeah.
And it's all about the idea of the Mexicans'
Yeah.
concept of death, that we have 3 deaths. And everyone's got their own beliefs, right? But I do like this concept that the 3 deaths are: 1, when you die; 2, when you go in the ground, or whatever the methods are that your family have chosen; and the 3rd one is when the last person mentioned your name. And it gives me goosebumps to think about Andy, but it also gives me goosebumps to think about Sam and the legacy that you've created, and that Sam is very much still alive. But I would love to know about Sam, because I think often, like Andy, and you're well versed in this, and you know that we want to shout about the work we're doing, but at the fundamental, there was a 15-year-old young man there, and I'd love to know about Sam personally, like genuinely, what were he like, and what are some of your fondest memories of him? Because I'd love to keep Sam's legacy alive as well.
It's such a good question, and it's such a, and you will have definitely had this same experience as me, which is it's really difficult when you do this work, because you're constantly trying to balance keeping him alive as the person he was for 15 years, or letting him be defined by just that moment. And unfortunately, because of the nature of the work, how he died is how he's known by so many people.
100%.
But Sam was so much more than just how he died, and I think sometimes with suicide and with these sorts of movements, that's forgotten. So thank you for asking. Sam was amazing. He was like I imagine Andy was. He like sort of the opposite of what you stereotypically think of someone as being depressed or suicidal is like. And it's really interesting when you say that, because like, what does that even mean? But he was funny, personable, had loads of friends, bit of a class clown, incredibly talented. I mean, I possess the creative ability of a spoon. I'm really terrible. Like, I cannot draw. I tried to learn instruments at school, never really was very good at it. Sam, pick up a paintbrush and he'd literally just wax and paint on a canvas, and you'd put it in a gallery and it would probably sell, right? Yeah. Or he produced his own film scores. So he'd like have this digital software, and he literally at 15 he was creating like film scores for films, and he loved Hans Zimmer and all of those sorts of like movie composers. And so I look back and I'm like, I was 17, Sam was 15. Sam was far more talented, and sort of he was going to do some amazing things in life, and very ambitious. And I guess not to bring it back to the bad side of the story, but you know, one of the things that happened the year before Sam died was our school was a state school, and they cut the budget for music and art. And I'm like, if I was Sam and my passion in life and what I was really good at was music and art, and my school cut it because they didn't have enough money, what that essentially says to you is that it's just a hobby. Like, it's not really that important for the world, so we're going to drop it. And I just think that that's so sad, because it was what he loved, and it's such a shame to think that he felt like what he loved wasn't needed in the world. And actually, we're sitting in a studio that wouldn't be here without creatives. All of my work, I mean, I've got creatives that I work with that do most of the work, right? Because they are so talented. And you're like, that's a real shame that he never got the opportunity to go, for someone to sit like we're doing now and go, you are so intelligent, and it's so incredibly talented. And I have absolutely no doubt that he would have gone on to do some really interesting things. I also have no doubt that if he had survived, he would have been a brilliant advocate for mental health. I mean, he would have been absolutely fantastic, because he was so desperate for people to think about depression differently. In fact, before he died, he put up posters around our school secretly, and so he went around after school putting up posters about depression and anxiety and what it meant and how it felt. And we didn't know that he was doing that until after he died, and we found those posters and sort of connected the dots. So he was so desperate for people to think differently about this, and I think that says a lot about his character as well, that he was deeply hurt and in a lot of pain, and in that moment his knee-jerk reaction, like what he wanted to do, was help other people feel seen. And what an amazing thing to be going through something so horrible but still be thinking about other people. I take a lot now in my work away from Sam, and go, you know, part of what I do now is because I think I have a lot of answers I think need to happen. But a very large reason for why I'm sitting on this sofa and talking to you and doing the work I do is because if I wasn't doing it, if Sam hadn't died and he was still here, he'd be doing all of this.
Yep.
He'd be talking to you. You would have loved him. You would have gotten so well together. And I'm like, well, if he can't do it because he's not here, you know, unfortunately, everyone, you've got the second best option. So I'll step into the shoes and try and do it myself and do what I think he'd want to do. And basically, that's become my Bible for my work now. It's like, what would Sam have done?
Yep.
That has meant a lot of challenging myself creatively. But you know, you learn and exactly, I imagine exactly like you with your experience, like with Andy and trying to work out what you want to do and sort of how you want to keep his memory alive and all of this stuff. And it's a difficult one because it's a balancing act, but you just got to do it for those people. And also, by the way, it doesn't mean that everyone that loses suicide should go and create a charity and do all this work, because I do think
there's a lot of pressure then on people.
Some people go to me, they're like, "Oh, it's so amazing what you've done. I could never do that. I'm just, you know, I feel like really bad for not being able to help in the way you have." And I'm like, no, you know what? 90% of the reason why I'm sitting here is luck.
Yeah,
absolutely luck. You can do the work, or you can show up in right spaces, but you need a bit of luck sometimes. And I was very lucky that I was able to do a talk. I was lucky that I was supported after doing that. I was lucky that I was told to do certain things. I was very, very lucky that I didn't go down a route of abusing drugs and alcohol, which I absolutely could have done and was very could have done very easily if I look back at my life. And actually, like, I reckon 90% of it's been luck for me. It's been a bit of work and a bit of luck, but you know, I don't think when you speak to people that have lost someone to suicide, anyone should feel guilty for not doing more.
Yep.
Because you've got to play the cards you've got, and even feeling guilty for wanting to do more is, to be fair, like a pretty amazing thing to think. You know, the fact that you want to do something, I think it says everything you need to know about who you are as a person. So I just thought I'd say that, because sometimes I sit here and I do these podcasts and I'm like, it does sound a bit preachy
Yep.
about this is what we should all do, and actually for most people, you've got to worry about putting food on the table and bills. And I was just very lucky that I had an opportunity to start working in policy and campaigning, and I was very lucky that people decided to follow me and put me in a position where I can do this for a job. But we all do small things, and my small thing has just turned out to be quite a big thing.
And I'm going to call you out, actually, because I don't think it's been looked by any stretch.
Fine.
I think what you've done there is what a lot of us do, which is you've given a shout to all the other people in the community who perfectly it is okay to lose a loved one and want to deal with it in your own way and not help other people, and not help other people, and not have to go and do something else. Actually, we get loads of people in our community who their big thing is putting a poster up, right? And by putting that poster up,
Amazing.
like what Sam did, you don't know who's going to see that and then go to a group and save their life, right? So actually, there's all these type of stuff. It's just what you've done on such a big scale. It can't have been luck. I was speaking to the guest as last guest about a book I'm reading called The Magic of Thinking Big, right, by David Schwartz. And there's an whole concept of that in order to be in this situation that you had to have thought big at some point. You had to have thought, this is what Sam did, but I'm going to do it. And I think what happens is and from seeing your journey from afar and up close at times is that doors open because people believe in you. People see your vulnerability. It won't look that you came up with an idea and you felt so emotional about it that people connected to you. So I think that what you are is clearly a very modest and humble guy, which is probably, and I have to think that I come from a background of playing rugby and Leeds Rhinos, and our captain was Kevin Sinfield, and I don't even know if you know who Kevin Sinfield is. The most modest, humble man ever, always team first. And I think that's why people bought into him. At ANDYSMANCLUB, we always wanted to have that, and still want to have that same message that the mission is much bigger than me, it's much bigger than Elaine, it's much bigger than Andy. Yeah. It's about everyone. But I also think at times, and I'm terrible at this, but I think you also need to take some credit for what you've built, what you've done. And I think it's also okay to say, do you know what? And I'm terrible at this. I got asked this question yesterday at an event. Do you ever sit back and just think you've done a great job? And I said, never. No, I said, I'm not saying to be humble or modest, but it's too big of a job to sit and clap for myself. But I just want to say on record there that I think what you've done is amazing. I think what you've done, because you're still only 25.
Yeah, 25.
Right, which is, I started as a man club at 26.
Yeah.
So to see what you've already achieved at such a young age is phenomenal. What got me thinking is I imagine you look at Sam's death, and I might be speaking out today, very different from hours, weeks and days after than you do now. Right? And what I mean by that is that your understanding will have come so much. You'll have gone through anger stages and understanding, and then actually I have it now where sometimes I think that what I know now could definitely have helped him. Of all the conversations and all the people that have said because they've seen a post. What if you could go back and you sat there, maybe in a coffee shop, having a hot chocolate, or you sat on a park bench, or you out for a run, or you got your artwork out, what would you say to him?
It's a good question, because this exact thing happened where I look back, and I used to pick him up from school occasionally and drive home, and there was this really surreal moment that I look back on, and I was driving home and we both sat there and we both knew that each other knew what we were thinking. It was just this tension. You could tell he wanted to say something to me because he knew that Mum had told me. I wanted to say something to him because Mum had just told me, but neither of us said anything for the whole journey. And I look back now and I'm like, I want to shake Ben and go, give him my knowledge that I have now. What would I have said? I think I would have just said nothing more than, Mum's told me what's going on, and I just want you to know I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you for everything you're doing. No fixing, no try this, let's go on a walk, let's try this, let's do this, just that. And I think, I still don't know how to solve depression. I don't know what would have saved him. I don't know. I'm not a clinician. I have absolutely no idea what could have helped Sam get through depression, or whether anything that I could have done could have saved him. But I know that from talking to people that are in that bad space, that having that connection is more important than trying to fix. So it was just, I don't want to fix anything. You're going to therapy. I don't really want to have anything to do with that. I don't need to be involved in that. I can give you a lift if you need, but that's, you can deal with that. But you are really strong and I love you lots. And that's all you need to say. And then, like I'm going to immediately do what I always do, which is then fill it with more words and try and explain myself out of a corner that feels emotional. But that's what I'd say. I'd leave it there. And just, even if then we sat in the car for silence for the rest of the journey, and it was really awkward because it was two blokes, two boys going, "Oh, I can't believe you just said that to me." You know, that's such a meaningful thing to say, and we don't say it enough. We certainly don't say it to men. I now say it to all of my friends, like my male friends. You know, we try and, you've got to be a little bit more emotionally open about those sorts of things, because, you know, we're too quick to go. Because I could have sat there and said, "How's therapy going? What's going on? What happens in a session? Like, how does it work? Are you finding it useful?" And that's just like interrogating.
Yep.
But I just think if I'd go back, I'd just be like, "I have no idea. I have no idea what you're going through. I've got absolutely no idea how it works or what therapy's like, but I just want to know I'm really proud of you for trying, and I love you lots." And I think that's probably one of the most powerful things you can say.
And do you know why I asked you that? Want to put you in an awkward emotional situation by any stretch? It's because the number one question I get asked all the time is what can I do for my son? What can I do for my daughter? What can I do for my brother? And I always feel like it's an anticlimax when I say nothing.
Yeah.
And they look at me and I'm like, until someone can accept there's a problem and then put themselves in, I said, all you can do is be there, not to try fix them. And I think anyone who's listening today, whether it is a mum, a dad, a brother, a sister, or if you who's struggling, is we often tell people it's okay to talk, right? And it is, right? But at times, the person, and then you in that situation, it will be me, even now still doing what we do, that you might not get it. And what I don't want people to do listening to this, who's going to reach out for support, is just think, well, everyone said it's okay to talk, I'm going to talk first person, and that person completely messes it up. Actually, the only one way to mess it up is just to listen.
Yeah.
And respond with, "I'm here, I love you."
Yeah.
And I think that was so powerful to say that, because I think too often we look for big ways that we can fix people. As you said, we give them coping strategies and techniques, where actually sometimes it's just that life's shit right now.
Yep.
Right? And I don't understand what you're going through. I can't relate to it, but do you know what? I'm here.
Yeah.
Anything you need from me,
Yeah.
I'm here and I love you. And I think that is such a beautiful thing to think about.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And this is where mental health specifically becomes really difficult, because and this is where I struggle when people sort of talk about it like it's the same as physical health sometimes, because it's not. The person has to really want to engage in treatment or really want to get help. And all the time I get the same as you. People ask, how can I get through to someone? How can I support them? And the more you try and impose a solution, the more you're going to take control from them.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to, right? If someone's at risk for themselves or whatever, sometimes you've got to take control away from them. But if you, I don't know, was struggling with something now, something like simple, like, I don't know, tying your shoelaces, and I suddenly went and gave you a list of all the things that you could do and just sort of talked you through the solutions, like, really, it could come across as patronising and invalidating. And actually, if I just sat there and went, "Yeah, that's really difficult. No one ever taught you how to tie your shoes. Tell me about that." You connect on an emotional level so much better than basically being like, "How's that? How do you not know how to tie your shoes? How's that not? How have you not done that before? Oh, it's really easy. Look, you just do this." Like that's a barrier, right? And you're creating a barrier. That's fine. That's like a natural human instinct to just fix things. But yeah, I would say actually two things as well. Two of the most powerful things I've heard people do for loved ones that have been struggling is, one, offer to sit down with a laptop and just Google things together. So say someone's just been diagnosed. Well, let's sit there and just Google, what does it mean? What is depression? Let's have a look at some resources online and read them together. Do you have any questions? What is treatment? Like, what does the treatment look like? What does antidepressants do? Let's have a look at this together on Google. And the other thing,
understand it together.
And you can work on, and you can learn together. I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to do. And you can also offer to take them to appointments, because appointments are a really difficult thing to go to. Exactly like Andy's Man Club, right? You know, it's difficult for some people to travel to these places. Yes. If you don't drive, or you don't take public transport, or you're not in a great space, like having the someone bring that barrier down by going, I don't have to come in, but I'll just drop you off.
Yep.
Or if someone wants to go and speak to a GP, you could be like, oh, I'll take you and I'll just sit in the waiting room. I won't come in with you, but I'll just be in the waiting room and I'll take you home afterwards. I mean, I have to talk about it, but I'll just be there. Those two things, I think, are some of the most powerful things you can do as a friend and loved one for someone, because you're not coming in and taking control. You're coming alongside them and enabling them as much as you possibly can to still have the control, and you're just helping them find answers and make it slightly easier. So those two things, I would say, are really powerful things to do.
It's interesting that, because one of the things that always lights me up most about Andy's Man Club is when, say, a dad, I were in the gym the other day, and this is what I really like, the way this dad approached it. He said, "Oh, you look Campbell." He said, "I just want to say thank you. You know, my son goes to your group." And I said, "Yeah." And then, I sat down on my bench and he sat down on his bench, and he says, "This is my therapy, you know." And I says, "Yeah." I says, "You know what? Weird, this is mine too." So everyone thinks, because I'm the It's Okay to Talk guy, that I said I have spaces that I do express myself, but actually coming here with a bit of solace is mine too. And he says, and everyone, I hope I've got this right, because there's hundreds of stories like this. He says, I took him to his first couple of groups, and I've left him to it now. And you know what? The amount of guys that'll go to a group because it's like, say I had an idea you were struggling. One of the best ways to do it in our space is that, "Ben, you know what? I've been struggling a bit lately. I'm going to go down to this Andy's Man Club. Will you come with me?" So now the person who's struggling becomes the helper. So now they feel empowered. So when they sit there, actually what ends up happening is the guy who felt they were okay actually ends up feeling really empowered when he's there as well. So now they both sit there together. They both have this moment, might be dad and son. And we've had cases where, we've got a staff member now who walked through the door with his son, and he now works for us because he believes in it so much.
Amazing.
And he was longest standing facilitator, Andy Bampton, and it's just so powerful when you look at it like that. And I think sometimes knowing that someone's willing to sit in that space with you, and that we're all going to go through these hardships and we're all going to have these struggles. But I guess one question I've got for you, Ben, well, I've got lots of questions, but there's two things. Like, who's Ben West away from this?
Because, that's a good question.
Because I struggle with this sometimes.
Yeah.
Not with you. I don't mean like I'm sitting there and go, "Who is Ben West?"
You think about that a lot, do you?
But what my wife talks about all the time, she's like your representation on social media ain't really who we see, because you're really funny, you always having a laugh, like you're just constantly a ball of energy. Where I do a video and it's like got to be like real serious, or we're talking. And sometimes I think like there's much more to us all. And I always think there's two sides to this, and it might be personal. But who is Ben West?
Yep.
Away from the work you do, and how's your mum and dad? Because I often think about, they must be still deeply traumatised, but then deeply inspired by what you do. And I've never heard too much about your mum and dad, so sorry if it's a sensitive topic, but I'd love to know more.
Yeah, of course. Who is Ben West? Well, it's such a weird question, isn't it? Because it seems like so obvious, but when you do work in this space, you just become the
reason why I've asked is everyone knows now Ben West,
work.
Suzanne Fenchen, unfortunately lost his little brother, and now does all this work where I imagine that on a weekend you're not just sat around doing this all the time. There'll be a lot of time when you are, but it's probably, you've got friends who are interested in other things, and you're probably not sat around with your friends all the time. I know I don't.
Yeah, my friends keep me grounded. They don't think of me as particularly cool. So no, I think but away from this, I love running. Absolutely love running, and I've let that come into work a little bit, and I'm in a moment now where I'm like, maybe I just keep that separate, and maybe I just do my running and not do, and maybe fundraise, but not really make it into a work thing, because I want to keep that for myself. I mean, one of my favourite mornings of all time was when I was training for my ultramarathon last year. And it was summer. I think it was like April or something, maybe spring. And I got up at like 4, and I went to St Martha's Hill in Surrey, and I literally had a 30k training morning to do before work. And so it was like 10 laps of this hill, and it's a huge hill, and it was just the most amazing morning. It was probably my favourite morning ever, and it was like I was the only person there. It was a beautiful part of the world, and I'm running. So I love running. I used to do a lot of racing.
Yep.
So I used to do go-karting or kart racing for a long time. So I loved a bit of that. Difficult to do now, though, because it's very expensive, and I don't really have the time to go travelling around the country doing it. But I loved it. I loved all of that. I'm very outdoorsy. It's really funny that I've ended up doing this job, because when I was growing up, I wanted to go into the armed forces. I wanted to learn to fly helicopters, and I wanted to... Basically, I used to say to my friends, if I'm if I'm 30 and I've got an office job, you have permission from me to slap me and tell me this is not what young Ben wanted you to do. And I was like, I want to just have an adventure and be outside. And also, I have a very high capacity for risk.
Yeah.
Like I quite like doing risky things. So I mean, learning to fly is a great example. I mean, I remember when I was learning to fly, which I was very lucky. It was part of doing the aerospace engineering degree at uni. To go to the armed forces came with some flying lessons, and I was like, I'd really love to land a plane.
Yep.
And I remember being in there. I'd never landed a plane. I just did it. I just tried with this instructor. I just sort of said, yeah, I've landed before. I'll give it a go. And it was John Lennon Airport. I don't know if this is the right thing to say. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble, but the instructor had it all under control. But anyway, it was Liverpool John Lennon Airport. All these easy jets were lining up. And that was just me and the little plane. Absolutely hit the runway so hard. So hard. Bounced back into the air. So that sort of gives you an idea of who I am, I think, is I like having fun. I like having a bit of a risk. And like my idea of a good afternoon would be a bit of like a skydive or something. I love that sort of like adrenaline
As you do.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, just have something with
Just go and do a little skydive. That'd be great. Which is so different to how people probably think I am.
Which
based
is
on
why I
socials.
wanted to bring
which is
that
a great.
up.
Which is a great question.
Because, and it will be, you know, and I find it. I go on a podcast and it's Man Club and it's all about the dart. And I think a majority of my time. Actually, majority of the time, I'm having fun with my friends. I'm doing stuff. Maybe not skydiving. And
Have you done one?
No.
Would you?
I'm probably too heavy. I'm on my way back down now, so hopefully they can get a chute big enough.
Yeah.
But I want to pick up there, because I'm going to come back to your mum and dad, about the idea of luck. And I think it was total bullshit that you've been lucky. Because I think what you are is you're someone who believes in yourself. Like with I'm going to land this plane. You know, I know recently you just started eating meat again.
Yeah.
You just stepped back on that.
Yeah.
And I think your ability to just say, I don't have a clue what I'm doing here. I'm going to back myself.
Yeah.
And I think probably why then when you walk in a room with people in different organisations or policy makers, they just go, he knows what he's on about. And like the rest of society, you're probably just winging it like we all have.
For sure, yeah.
I go in workplace all the time now. Put on if you've winged it, and then people, I know, but put on if you're currently winging it, and everyone puts it on. I'm like, me too. And I'm there delivering. And I'm like, it's just wish that like in society more people realise that there's much more of the thing you see on social media.
Oh, yeah.
But tell me a bit about your mum and dad.
Yeah, I mean, look, horrific thing that happened to them.
Yeah.
They're awesome. They are both doing the same sort of work, so they both work in mental health as well. Very much like committed to sort of tackling the same issues. Obviously, we've come at it from different points of view. I understand how Instagram works. They struggle to know how that works. So, I mean, you say that they must be really inspired by me. I have to say I'm so inspired by them, and I learn a lot from them because they come at it from such a different space to me. Like they are much more detail focused in terms of like how things work. And this is probably again because that was such a good analysis of me as a person. I just sort of wing it and trust the process and just go, oh, it'll work. Same with the ultramarathon. I mean, I signed up. My first ever run was an ultramarathon because I was just like, I'll just get it done, won't I?
Yes.
I just got to believe in it. So
Love
I'm
it.
very much like an outcome person. I will go, that's what I'd like to do. I'll work out how it happens along the way.
And I'm exactly the same.
And I think a lot of the people, like my mum and dad, are similar in terms of like ambitious in terms of the outcome, but they're a lot better at going, let's think about how it happens.
The process.
Which I don't really do. I'm not very good at that. I just sort of go, oh, that should happen. Let's do it. And then you'll slowly work it out, which is fine. That works sometimes. So they're really helpful for that. But I'm just hugely inspired by them. I mean, the way that they've turned it around and done something positive out of something that must be just horrific as a parent to lose a child. It's just in that way as well, and also have to cope with the feelings of, as we all do, of guilt and wondering what could have done differently. And I felt that as an older brother, but that must be really difficult as a parent. Which obviously, you know, it's like as we all go on that journey and learn, eventually suicide is so much more complicated than just something someone said or didn't say. But yeah, they're doing great work, and it is also difficult because when I go home, you've got to really try to not just talk about work.
Yep.
Because I feel like, because we all sort of work in the same space. So it's like, I need to just be Ben
Yes.
in the house, and you need to be mum and dad. And we can't just start talking about government announcements and committees and all these sorts of boring things, because otherwise dinner becomes incredibly boring for anyone that's there as a guest.
Yes.
We're just there talking about various grants that we'd like to have.
Access to.
Yeah, like this is very boring. So I'm equally inspired by them. They're amazing people.
Do you know, and it's so interesting this, so Jordan and Ura's last guest, I've had lots of conversations with other people, and last year we got accused of being a bit of a running organisation now. Like, just because someone asked if they could do a run, and then we just
became
and it's the easiest events to sort of set up. So you get London Marathon ballots or Great North Run, and it's what people do. But what people don't understand is, and it was so interesting, I've never thought about it like, so I love to run. Mm. You've come on and said you love to run.
Yeah.
Jordan loves to run. And I just find that a lot of people who've been through traumatic experiences go back to running. And I've once read a book called Born to Run.
Oh, amazing book. Great
Unbelievable.
book. I always recommend that book.
And it gives you a lot of answers.
Yeah.
So, without me quoting that book, what do you think is the reason that running is something for you that is your escape? Without going down the other routes, more negative, because we've not tried convincing everyone to be runners after a day, but I do think it's important.
So many reasons. First, it's the ability to go outside. Like I can't stand. Everyone's different. I can't stand a treadmill. I mean, one of the, that's not running for me. I can't do it. It's not why I run. I'd rather not run than run on a treadmill. Running for me is about going somewhere, and this is going to sound so cringy, the journey of going to that place and what you can see along the way and it's taken me some amazing places. That I will quote the book, because there's a quote in the book that says, and for those of you who don't know, it's about sort of how human beings are designed to run, and it's throughout our entire evolution we've been like running animals, endurance running animals. And it talks about in the book that it says, because this book was the reason I run. Like, this is the reason I do all of the running.
Great
I do.
book.
Amazing book. It says that running to a person is like flight to a bird. If you put a bird in a cage, it's still alive. It's not going to die, but it's not going to be happy. It's not free. And we now live in a world where we don't have to run. And it's a similar sort of concept. We're taking away something that is such an ingrained part of our DNA. We've got our Achilles is so massive because we've evolved to be good at endurance running. So I think on a deeper level, I just feel like it's home. I do all my thinking running as well.
100%.
Running in the shower.
Clarity.
And on buses. Buses running on the shower.
Yeah.
Like I have to schedule it into my
All at the same
diary.
time.
I'm gonna ride the bus up and down for a little bit, or go for a run.
Bus out, run back, shower.
Yeah, and then a shower. And then I've basically got the next project from that.
Speaking of projects,
Yes.
I'd be stupid to not let the world know. Well, they already know, 35 million views. But tell everyone what you've been working on.
Yeah, so on the 21st of January this year, it's just gone, it was the 8-year anniversary of Sam's death. And every year, because obviously anyone that's lost someone knows that anniversary is a pretty horrible day.
Yep.
I have a rule where on bad days, I have to do something good. It's just a rule I have, and that doesn't just mean anniversaries. If I'm just having a bad day, I'll like do something good, and that might be just like bring up a conversation with the cashier and co-op, right, and just having a chat. Like, I've just got a rule that I always do, and so on the 21st of January, I launched Reasons to Stay, which is a website that I've made, which delivers letters that have been written by strangers to people that are on the site, giving them a reason to stay. And so anyone in the world can write a letter, and that will eventually end up being sent to someone that visits the website looking for a reason to stay. And I'll be honest with you now, I started that project thinking it's a great idea. It brings people who want to care for others to people that need to be cared for in a way that's clinically safe, because we've got a clinical moderation team in between that are looking at all the letters and making sure they're safe to be read. And it connects people and gives people a way of helping. Didn't expect much. My target was 100 letters by the end of the week, sort of ticking over, just doing its own thing. Went viral first week. I think we, in like 2 days, got 33,000 letters sent. And then did another post, and that went just stratospheric, like massive viral, almost 40 million views. And we have currently, and by the time this podcast goes out, it will be wrong, but we're currently almost on 1 million letters that we've sent in 3.5 weeks.
Man, that's unbelievable.
Which
that's
is
not luck.
Just amazing. I mean, it's just like, and obviously from my point of view, you know, like, you do this work because you want to try and help that one person, or just reach that one person with something that might just change that moment for them. And I think so often with suicide, you know, the reason I called it Reasons to Stay was if someone's searching online on Google for reasons to stay and they're in a crisis, there is something in them.
Fucking phenomenal,
that is going, there is some little bit of hope in them that's searched that. It might be a tiny bit.
Yes.
But what is the thing that they then end up seeing that's going to give that flame some fuel, right? And I think a letter from a stranger, and these are beautiful letters, by the way, is enough to just stop that flame going out in that moment. And in a moment of crisis, I think that's a really important thing. And also what's really great is, I think so often we think of suicide prevention as being contact a helpline, go to a session, go to this place, go to your GP. And that's fine, that's really important. It's amazing those are there, but that feels like a ladder with the bottom rung not there. That's the first step. It's quite a big step. And this, for me, feels like the first rung of the ladder. You don't have to speak to anyone. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You can read something from someone, and that can then give you the belief and the confidence to then go, actually, you know what? I do deserve to feel okay. And I can now go onto the resources and look at what's available. So, yeah, 1 million, almost 1 million. Well, by the time this has gone out, we would have hit 1 million letters because it's going to happen in the next 3 days. So,
and I'd love, if okay with you, to put a link on our website.
Oh, please do.
Because I'd love anyone searching around our website for a reason to stay, to find reasons to stay. I think it's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Each week we get a guest to ask the next guest a question. So at Andy's Man Club, we always start with, how's your week been? Positive week, anything to get off your chest. And it's been phenomenal. Then we always finish with 2 questions. One's more thought-provoking, could be positive or thought-provoking, and then question 5 is always a bit of fun.
Okay.
Right, so, and then I'm going to challenge you to then think of the question for the next. So our last guest asked the 2 questions, and it's pretty deep. And I've been asked a similar question to this before, and I'm going to answer this one with you as well after.
Okay.
But if you could go back in time and change your circumstances when you're making such a positive impact, would you, and why?
Would I go back in time and change something?
It's deep, isn't it?
That is so deep.
And he said that it was going to be deep. And I've got an answer to this.
Okay.
But I don't want to influence yours. I'd love to know what yours is.
That's such a difficult question. I mean, I would say, first of all, I would give everything up now to go back and just stop what happened to Sam from happening, and like give him the platform and just send him on this journey and just I would love to just do that. And I was really emotional the other day, and it sometimes gets to you where like I was really struggling, going, I just wish I didn't have to do this. And I don't mean that I don't like this job, but I really, really, really sometimes I really wish I didn't have to do it. And I wish I just had a normal life. I said that to Sasha, my girlfriend. I was like, I just wish I had a normal life, and I just could just get on with what I like. So, I mean, that's the most obvious answer to that question is I just wish Sam was here, and I wish that had changed, and I wish I didn't have to do any of this. I really do. Like, I love my job, but I really wish it wasn't me that was doing it. Other than that, though, I don't think there's much that I would change, because I know how weird the world is, where very, very small things that I've done have ended up being just enormously influential in my work and my life. It's also a really interesting question, because the reason I met my girlfriend now is because I work in this space, which is because my brother died. And it becomes a really interesting and difficult question to answer of, if it hadn't have happened, I wouldn't have met one of the best people in the world. And all this stuff that I do now wouldn't have happened. It's a really difficult one. It's such a difficult one. But obviously, I'd give it. I mean, you'd have to just give it all up to just go back and not have to do any of this. And I just wish that it wasn't me, and I wish that Sam was sitting on the sofa. And not that you're not great company, Luke, but I really wish it wasn't me and that was doing it, because it's so tough. It's so tough. And I think sometimes you see social media and you see me on social media, and I'm very positive and I like life and I'm very ambitious, but I really struggle with this sometimes. I really, really do. Especially the last few weeks with how viral everything's gone. It's emotional, man. It's so emotional, because you just go, do I really want to do this? And the answer is yes, but it's not an obvious yes. So yeah, I'd think that would be the one thing I would change, is just go back and shake Ben in the car and go, tell him you love him, tell him you're proud of him, and just try and do what you can. Not that I could have necessarily changed what happened, but try to, be able to use my knowledge now to help. And then he could have gone on that journey, and I'd be the proud older brother going, come on.
Yes.
I seen the other day you shared Sam's story, and like how cool that all these people were sharing Sam's stuff. Like, I'd love that. That would be so amazing. And I could very happily take a back seat into all of this and just be a supporter rather than doing it myself. So that's a very long-winded version of saying,
deep
oh
question,
God, yeah. It's such a deep question. Thank you, Jordan.
And I think the obvious answer there is always, yes, I go back and change it. Yeah. My favourite film of all time, or one of, was The Butterfly Effect. Yeah, and how one small localised change can have wide effects elsewhere, and how if you change anything in the course of history, how different your life would be. I've got a series of stuff that's happened prior to Andy, from a mum in a car crash to all sorts, and I always go, would I change it? And I'm like, well, my brain is very logical in the fact that I can't change it. So I don't. So even with questions like, it's like, what would you do if you want lottery? Like, I'm pretty boring. I'm like, I won't do anything different because I don't do lottery. So there's no point talking about it. It sounds a real boring thing. Like, let's talk about what we could do if me and you just did something. I used to always get asked a question from ANDYSMANCLUB, like, what are you going to tell the government to do, man? I'll go, well, I'm not, because they never listen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go do this. Yeah. And I think there's lots of different ways to do it. Mm-hmm. So I used to think that, would we go back and change it so there were no ANDYSMANCLUB and Andy? 100% you could. Can you do that? No. So what I'm going to do is instead of focusing on that, is to push forward on everything I can do so that he is still alive in a way. Yeah. Question 5.
Okay, here we go.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yes.
Wow.
So much so.
Cancel the episode.
I like a bit of sweet on the savoury though. I'm quite into all of that.
But you're a barbecue sauce guy on there as well.
Oh yeah, Levi Roots, reggae sauce. That's me.
Never invite you off pizza.
Yeah, definitely pineapple on pizza. It's actually one of the best pizzas you can have, I think. Unpopular.
Oh yeah, it's very definitely unpopular.
It's the same with this is even more deeply unpopular. You know what's a really good sandwich? You know, tuna mayo. Pop some honey in there.
Wow.
Honey and tuna mayo sandwich.
It's the first.
Lovely. Really good. See, the thing is, when you run, not to bring it back to running again, 'cause it's super boring for people who don't like running, but you find like weird snacks that you like, especially if you're like going for a super long run and you've got to fuel yourself and you don't want to have those gels. Tuna mayo and honey sandwich.
I like that. I like a scoop of Manuka.
If you're okay with... Oh, yeah? Yeah,
just a big scoop of it, just before I do a race.
It's good, isn't it? It's good. Honey's amazing. Honey's good. But yeah, pineapple on pizza, absolutely. What about you? You're no?
I'm definitely a definite no. I'm like, get away from me right now type of guy.
Yeah, like meat feast.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your questions for our next guest? So question 4's got a bit of an and why, so it can be anything, it can be positive, thought reflecting, and question 5 is just a bit of fun.
Okay. Oh, that's really difficult. I'm going to say, what is the bravest thing you've ever done? As my deep question.
And why? I love that.
And why? And my fun question... I'm going to say, if you could live in any TV or film set, and that would be your life, which TV or film set would it be?
Nice. What would yours be?
I don't know. I think I would say... God, I had a really weird impulsive thought there to say Walking Dead. That's not what I was. That's not what I'm thinking at all. That's not what I was thinking at all. Not Walking Dead. I would probably go like, you know what? I'm just going to go really left field. And I'm going to say Teletubbies, because that world looks just amazing. Got the little baby son, everything.
Thanks, man. I'm going to go Simpsons, though.
Simpsons would be good.
So cool. Just so many different characters.
Would you have to be the colour of the character? Or would you have to be like...
Oh, I'm going yellow, yeah. I'm going proper yellow. I'm going Homer. Just straight in at Homer.
Yeah,
Other than losing my hair, there's not much difference anyway, so...
Yeah. So that's a good one, actually. That's a good one. Teletubbies and Simpsons. So, yeah.
And if you could... There's always the one about the billboard, or... I just want one final message to anyone listening. Just what's... In fact, let's flip this. Give people one reason to stay.
Oh. Well, I will say, don't stay for anyone else. I think too often with suicide we say, people think of your family and friends. Think of your family and friends. Like, you can't take your own life, because think of your family and friends. And I don't think of your family and friends. Right? Think about you. I've spent a long time over the last few years speaking to people who have survived suicide attempts, and every single person that I've spoken to, when I've had those conversations, has finished that conversation by saying, "I'm so glad I'm alive." It is absolutely possible to feel joy and happiness and to laugh again. And so don't stay for anyone else but you, and the fact that a temporary period of intense pain is only temporary, and you deserve to feel that joy again, and everyone I've spoken to is glad they're still here. So that's what I would say is a reason to stay, because you can't put your happiness you can't pin your happiness to someone else.
Yep.
You have to do it for you.
You got to do it for
and
you.
And you deserve to feel joy, not for anyone else, but for you. And it's absolutely achievable, with the right support. Coming to an Andy's Man Club, getting the right support, you can get to a position where you love life again, and it happens more than we talk about for people. So yeah.
And then your family and friends get the best version of you.
Exactly. Stay for you.
Ben, absolutely unbelievably inspiring as always. It's been a great Brew Chat. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, mate.